Live from downtown Macon, this is WGXA News live on YouTube.
Good evening, Middle Georgia. I'm Amanda Peralta.
I'm Greg Lloyd. Thanks for watching WGXA News. Severe storms packed a punch as they blew through Georgia last night. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings were issued throughout the mid-state as the line of wicked weather moved through during the evening hours. Take
a look at some of the damage here. You can see just how strong those winds and toppled trees and power lines and outages were across the mid-state. You can share pictures from your area with us by going to WGXA.tv/chime in. You may even see them on air.
And the Patrician Apartments on Forest Hill Road saw a fire this afternoon that may have been weather related. Firefighters were seen working in the attic to douse the flames. The woman who called 911 tells WGXA that she came home to smoke in her apartment. Residents tell us they've been without power since last night's storms.
And the storms from last night are still causing problems across the mid-state. As you can see from this map, more than 80,000 are still without power, including almost 7,000 in Bibb, over 2,000 in Jones and Monroe counties, and more than 1,000 in Jasper. DeKalb County has the most without power, as 28,000 are still waiting for utility companies to fix the problem.
As of last night, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office says its 911 lines are down. They've asked if you have an emergency to call any of these numbers on your screen.
And it's looking like we may see some more storms today throughout the mid-state.
Yeah, but our chief meteorologist, Ryan Stinnett, says the real news this week is that heat, Ryan.
Yeah, I hope y'all are ready for the hottest weather so far this year. It's coming. Now, yesterday, numerous storms worked their way through middle Georgia, producing widespread wind and power issues, mainly tree issues. But again, it started in the Ohio Valley, worked its way through North Georgia and then into Middle Georgia yesterday evening. And again, a lot of damage, a lot of people still without power. Now, radar, it remains quiet. This is great. We thought we'd get a few thunderstorms, and we had some earlier off towards the east, but for Middle Georgia, quiet and calm, and I really think most of us will stay dry the rest of the evening. Temperatures in the low 90s. These are your actual air temperature. Factor in those dew points that are in the 60s and 70s. It feels much hotter. Currently feeling like 100 in Macon, 106 in Eatonton, and 99 down in Perry. As we head throughout the rest of the week, our forecast, we fall under this heat dome. It's going to be sliding off towards the east, and as it does, our temperatures will be climbing. I'll show you how high those temperatures climb coming up in Maine weather.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ryan. It's time to get that WGXA weather app if you don't have it. Ryan's back with us in less than 20 minutes with your 10-day forecast.
Nationwide attention on Georgia after multiple anti-Semitic displays throughout the state, two of which happening right here in Middle Georgia. A group of protesters gathered outside a Jewish community center in Cobb County over the weekend with a message of hate.
They openly displayed Nazi flags and anti-Semitic rhetoric. It sparked outrage, but it also sparked an outpouring of support for the Jewish community. Jasmina Austin reports.
Obviously, seeing that imagery was very shocking and very upsetting.
Hateful messages and a Nazi flag. That's what this group stood with outside of a Cobb County Jewish community center. The anti-Semitism so close to home came as a shock to Rabbi Ephraim Silverman.
A lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. The idea that in 2023 in America and the United States we can still have that kind of imagery outside of a synagogue.
The anti-Semitic incident caused many to speak out against it and also show support for the Jewish community. State leaders, other politicians, and organizations. U.S. Senator John Ossoff saying Georgia's Jewish community will never be intimidated by anti-Semitism.
I just feel tremendous sorrow that our communities had to feel and experience that kind of hate and vitriol. It is completely unacceptable. There's no place for it in our society whatsoever. But second, I would like people to be encouraged by the responses of neighbors and leaders who came out and condemned these hateful actions.
The Anti-Defamation League says in Georgia, anti-Semitic incidents increased 60% from 2021 to 2022. According to the organization, many of those incidents are driven by groups like the one in Cobb County. Rabbi Silverman says the key is to not give these hate groups the attention they seek, but instead stand together as a community and as a whole against the hate.
Ultimately, when we see and experience this kind of darkness, I think the most important, most powerful and potent response is to increase in light.
In Macon, the hate came during a protest outside the Temple Beth Israel on Cherry Street Friday. Bibb deputies say one man faces charges following that protest after neighbors called complaining of a group shouting obscenities. They also reported the group used a pride flag to hang a blow-up doll from a stop sign. Deputies ordered the group to disperse, but they say John Minadio II kept using a bullhorn to shout obscenities. The deputies tell us Minadio's rants blame the Jewish community for all sorts of things, from the problems with government to even homosexuality. But he refused to stop shouting into that bullhorn, so they arrested him for disorderly conduct and creating a public disturbance.
These anti-Semitic flyers are the hate that Warner Robins saw. Several neighborhoods in the southwest part of the city reported finding them Friday. The police department is working with county, state, and federal agencies to investigate the flyers, but Mayor LaRhonda Patrick says the person responsible has been found and lives in the Atlanta area. The mayor also said in a statement that she is appalled by the messages of hate and that the close-knit community embraces diversity.
U.S. Attorney over Middle Georgia, Peter Leary, released a statement to WGXA on the hate, saying in part that the events are troubling. He goes on saying he condemns the acts to intimidate and threaten people based on their faith, race, ancestry, or LGBTQ+ identity, and that his office will defend every citizen's civil rights. The Mid-State sent a strong message of unity and solidarity following these incidents.
Hundreds gathered in Macon over the weekend to say hate won't be tolerated in our communities. Our Gloria Ruth Finney spoke to one organizer about this weekend's rally against anti-Semitism. Gloria Ruth?
That's right. Displays of anti-Semitic behavior have been seen in Warner Robins and in Macon. But in downtown Macon, the crowd filled the streets carrying signs with messages of love, unity, and support for the Jewish and LGBTQ community. Hundreds of people, differing faiths, backgrounds, and ethnicities stood shoulder to shoulder, forming a human chain encircling the temple, symbolizing their commitment to protecting one another from hatred. Several Macon leaders like Sheriff David Davis and District Attorney Anita Howard also took part in the rally. It served as a platform for citizens to share personal stories and express their determination to create a more inclusive and tolerant society.
It's connected to white supremacy, it's connected to anti-LGBTQ, and if you scratch the surface, it's misogynistic too. And that's what we have to recognize, that all of those threads come together and create a very dark web. And we need to not be caught up in it. We just need to be prepared to confront it.
After a hate group protesting the Jewish and LGBTQ community outside Temple Beth Israel on Friday afternoon, Chris says he wanted to organize something in response, showing love and support, resulting in hundreds of people downtown Saturday. Reporting live in downtown Macon, Gloria Ruth Finney, WGXA News.
Well, thank you, Gloria Ruth. And Warner Robins police worked well into the early morning to get a barricaded suspect in custody. Police say it started around 10 last night when a man called 911 saying he was being shot at by Todd Jones Jr. and that his car had been hit.
As officers rushed to the shooting, Jones ran into a gold Chevy Silverado. Officers were able to find the truck and began a chase. Just as officers caught up with Jones, he got out and carjacked someone in Centerville. Police were forced to fire shots when they say he tried to run officers over.
Now, Jones got away but was found again at a Red Fox Run home. He was eventually taken into custody and transported to a hospital for treatment for his gunshot wounds. The GBI is now investigating this officer-involved shooting.
A Thomaston man is sentenced to life for the stabbing murder of a business rival. A jury found Shakar Suri Avamsham guilty of malice murder. He killed Mohammed Seth Muhihuddin during a fight in November 2020. The sentence comes with the possibility of parole.
Youth crime was front and center today in Crisp County following a spike in crime and gang activity there.
Our Brianna Cook spent the day with the sheriff's office to find out what their next steps are in fighting the crime. Brianna?
The sheriff's office is calling on parents and the community to help solve the youth violence and gang activity.
Our community's youth embody the future, and thus we all bear a collective responsibility to collaborate in mitigating youth violence within our midst.
The Crisp County Sheriff's Office announced they are partnering with the Georgia State Patrol and other agencies to decrease youth violence and gang activity through the county. Sheriff Billy Hancock points to trends of violent crime behind the new effort.
Understand that I'm not referring to minor offenses. I'm specifically addressing incidents of shootings, assaults, homes being targeted, drug distribution, and stolen weapons.
According to official, Crisp County has had over 200 shooter calls or shots fired calls in the last 18 months. Hancock says the community and parents must come together to help end the violence in the area.
Guardians and loved ones and community organizations can step up when we're proactive. Guardians are responsible for the rearing and the accountability of their kids. Closely monitor where your children are and what they're doing. Know if your children possess drugs or weapons.
Hancock expressed it will take everyone to aid the community.
Violence impacts multiple parts of our community, and it will take all of us to work together to reduce this violence.
I did ask if there was a possibility for the Sheriff's Office to create an outreach program to aid the local youth, but they said their job is to enforce the law and it's parents' responsibility to take care of their kids. Reporting in Cordele, Brianna Cook, WGXA News.
All right, thank you, Brianna. And Brian Koberger's lawyers say he has no connection to the 4 University of Idaho students killed last November. Koberger is charged in the murders. Prosecutors said in court documents that DNA evidence from the crime scene matched Koberger, but defense lawyers argue they've been kept in the dark about what was tested and the methods used to link Koberger to the murders. Koberger has denied any wrongdoing and is back in court on Tuesday. Continuing coverage this evening as to what some are calling a child care crisis.
It's a problem that may be a double-edged sword affecting both parents and providers. In an annual Kids Count data book, experts analyzed the national child care crisis across 50 states. They found 7% of parents in Georgia with kids from birth to age 5 had to quit or change their jobs in order to find affordable child care services.
Amy Jacobs with the Georgia Department of Early Learning says parents are looking to pay less while child care workers want to earn more.
Childcare teachers are very low paid. They make about $12 an hour, which if you compare that to a K-12 teacher or even a Georgia pre-K teacher, that's a lot less than they make. And so if you think about what we think they should actually be paid, which would be more than $12 an hour, the cost would be even more than that. But the biggest cost a childcare program has is obviously to pay their teachers.
Despite Georgia's lottery-funded pre-K program pouring more than $40 million into child care, making it free for 4-year-olds, Jacobs went on to say there's still room for improvement with caregivers earning lower wages than 98% of other professions.
Well, Macon gas prices have seen a minor bump since last week, rising almost 8 cents. The average price for a gallon of regular gas sits around $3.18 according to Gas Buddy. The price is still 3 cents lower than this time last month and almost $1 less than last year. Gas Buddy petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan says the market remains relatively stable and encourages drivers to remain aware of prices to find the best deals available in the area.
And those gas prices are expected to remain pretty stable as Independence Day approaches. AAA says we can expect to see major travel volumes this year, with more than 1.6 million Georgians expected to travel 50 miles or more between this Friday and July 4th, which is Tuesday. Now that's almost 70,000 more travelers than last year.
In a live look at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta, as AAA expects 124,000 Georgians to take to the skies, while nearly 85% of travelers are expected to drive. That's still 12,000 more flyers than last year, and AAA says passengers are paying 40 to 50% more for flights compared to last year. The company says passengers can avoid checking bags and just take carry-ons to avoid extra fees. All eyes on the Supreme Court as they are set to release decisions on 10 cases, including President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program and ones dealing with affirmative action.
Janae Bowens joins us with what we can expect during the court's final week of the summer term.
My administration is working to provide up to $10,000 in student debt relief and up to $20,000 if the person seeking the relief received a Pell Grant.
The Supreme Court is set to have the final say this week on President Joe Biden's promise of student loan debt relief. There are 2 lawsuits, Biden versus Nebraska, which involves 6 states, and one involving 2 students, the Department of Education versus Brown.
The bigger question for this case is really, Does the court think these are the right people to be bringing that case?
The administration points to the HEROES Act of 2003, which grants the U.S. Secretary of Education the authority to make changes related to student loans during a national emergency, like COVID-19. But Carrie Severino, president of the Judicial Crisis Network, says it doesn't work like that.
You're welcome to achieve your policy goals, but you have to do that the way the Constitution prescribes, and that is passing legislation through the House and the Senate and signing it. It's really back to Schoolhouse Rock, folks. That's the way the government's supposed to be run.
Now, if the court did rule in favor of Biden, civil rights attorney Robert Patillo says the conversation wouldn't end there.
There's going to be a massive push from the progressive side of the aisle to say, well, if you can do 10,000, why not all?
Another major decision is around affirmative action, whether colleges and universities can continue to use race in the admission process.
You know what? The Constitution is colorblind here. We need to make sure that racial preferences have no place in our public universities or in universities that receive public funding. Justice O'Connor said this shouldn't be necessary for more than 25 more years, and we're almost to that point.
Severino says current policies aren't needed and hurt Asian students, but Patillo fears the end of affirmative action would be a huge step backwards.
This will be the doorway to the resegregation of America.
The court's term is scheduled to end Friday, and there are about a dozen others they expect to decide, including whether a business can deny services to LGBTQ customers. Reporting in Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
Get ready for the hottest weather so far this year. Coming in the next few days, going to be seeing temperatures easily in the mid to upper 90s. Unfortunately, no signs of heat relief in the form of those afternoon showers and storms, as those rain chances are less than 10%. And also, those heat index values, what it will feel like, could be approaching 105 and maybe even higher a few afternoons later this week. Again, it's all in relation to this area of heat off towards our west. It's been sitting over Texas and Oklahoma the past few weeks. It's going to start to expand towards the east, and as it does, our temperatures will be inching upward. Our rain chances are going to be on the way down, but really I think our hottest day this week could be Thursday. And again, this is not going to move that much, so even once we start to see temperatures come down a little bit, they're still going to be above average. Our average high this time of year, around 92 degrees. The next few days, we're above average, and in fact, getting close to 100. This is your actual air temperature for Thursday. We're looking at 99. The weekend's still going to be hot, and a lot of the model data suggests it could continue to be hot well into next week. Off towards the west, there are heat advisories and excessive heat warnings across portions of Alabama and Mississippi, and that stretches all the way back towards the desert southwest. We'll have to wait and see if maybe some of these get extended off towards the east, as those dangerous heat levels could be approaching. Looking for rain, it's not showing up this afternoon. Still, maybe over the next hour or two we get a developing thunderstorm somewhere, but I really expect most locations to stay dry the rest of today, and that dry pattern is going to continue as we roll into the rest of this week as well. So if you're looking for rain, good luck the next few days. But as we roll into the weekend, a few isolated showers and storms will be possible, maybe increasing rain chances some next week. Your 10-day forecast, mid-90s the next couple of days. We got that temperature near 100 as we roll into Thursday. And again, the heat index, what it will feel like, will be easily into the low 100s. Rinse and repeat the forecast for Saturday and Sunday with the continued hot weather. A few pop-up storms will certainly be possible by this weekend, but unfortunately, most locations will be staying dry. And your Harrison's Body Shop Fish and Game forecast has multiple peaks at times tomorrow in the good category. Most prominent, 9:20 a.m. and then again at 9:40 p.m.
A celebrity golf tournament in Warner Robins worked to make the future brighter for some Middle Georgia youth. Proceeds from today's events benefited the Winning Academy, a school developed by the Winning Church. The school recently acquired land to build a gym, and today's golf tournament raised funds to build it. Organizers say it's a needed and valued investment.
Well, we're trying to raise productive citizens. We want all of our children to be able to go out and be able to articulate and be able to give back to the community what we are pouring into them.
Pastor B says the Winning Academy's enrollment tripled since the pandemic. Some of today's celebrities included former Atlanta Falcons football players.
And Take a look at this. These 3 teens are making Middle Georgia proud after they offered up their help with severe storm cleanup efforts in Jasper County. The passing storm wreaked havoc on Jackson Lake Road, causing several trees to topple and block roadways. When deputies arrived, they found Justin Berry, Tyler Engel, and Elijah Rachel ready to help. The trio rolled up their sleeves and began to help clear the road alongside the deputies. How sweet is that?
That is very, very nice, and I'm sure the deputies appreciated, the community did too. They make us Middle Georgia proud, and I'm sure their parents are very proud of them as well.
I agree with that, and I think, you know, with all these storms that are happening, I think all the help that we can get.
All hands on deck. That's the way it's been. Well, that's it for WGXA News at 5:30.
We invite you to join us at 6 on ABC 16. Have a great evening.